All right, it's 8:18. So the Oxford-Cambridge Expressway is no more. Yesterday, there was confirmation from government that the plans have been scrapped. The road was going to link Oxford with Milton Keynes and Cambridge, but the government say it's not cost-effective for the taxpayer. The Department for Transport has said they're going to work on alternative plans to the expressway alongside building the East-West Rail scheme. Now, what do you think about this morning? Are you glad to see the back of what's been a rumour, has been on and off and paused and so on for, what seems like, for years now? Overwhelmingly, I think it's fair to say the voices that I've heard from over the last few years have been against this, but there are one or two who really wanted it, like Neil, who says that the current road from Oxford to Milton Keynes is awful. And some of the options that were considered were awful, but something needs doing about the road link. So what about the future of this Oxford-Cambridge arc? There's plans still in place for 1 million houses by 2050, and those houses will bring cars which will need roads to drive on. So let's just recap, first of all, some of the history behind this. Here's our political reporter, Bethan Nimmer.
The expressway has been on the cards since 2014 as part of the road investment strategy, but plans really started to get going in 2017 when the National Infrastructure Commission said the new road had to be built as quickly as possible to unlock land for new homes between Oxford and Cambridge. In 2018, it was revealed there were plans for 1 million houses along the route by 2050. But what really caused alarm in Oxfordshire was when broad corridors showing where the road could go around Oxford were published. It seemed the expressway could go across important green belt and countryside, perhaps near Otmore Nature Reserve, or it might go around to the west of Oxford. But what happens to all those houses near the A34 in Botley if the road is widened? Campaigns against the expressway really started gathering pace. And it became more and more unpopular with politicians too. MPs and councillors across the political spectrum set out their opposition to the road. Funnily enough, just as we got close to the December 2019 general election, the government said the increasingly unpopular plan would be subject to an urgent review. Then a year ago, it was put on pause. That didn't stop the concerns of campaigners, though. What did paused really mean? Could the plans make a comeback? There will be relief with the announcement it has now been definitively cancelled. However, the government does say it will investigate the need for more targeted road interventions in the area. We don't know yet what that means or where these interventions will take place. Some are likely to continue to worry that elements of the expressway could return, even though the full road plan seems to be going nowhere.
Bethan Nimmo reporting in Oxfordshire. Rob Hopwood is in Cambridge and a planning partner for the property consultant Bidwells, who did a lot of work advising on the Oxford-Cambridge arc. Good morning to you, Rob. What's your reaction to the government's decision to scrap this?
Yeah, good morning. It's great to be on the show. Well, as Joe Biden said, I don't know if he's comments this morning, it's never too late to do the right thing. And you might think that's strange coming from a consultancy that represents the private sector development areas. But, you know, it's in the timing of all of this. We think it's probably the right decision because obviously climate change and environment is now at the fore for planning in particular. And in our discussions with government and listening to government, we now feel that the government is doing a bit more joined-up thinking. All the departments are talking to each other, and that may not have happened in previous years. And we're obviously quite hopeful that there's going to be a bit more joined-up thinking for future planning of growth in this arc.
What does that mean, though, Rob? When anyone ever says joined-up thinking, I always sit and wonder, what does that actually mean? Do you want the road or not?
Well, the thing is, a new plan has been released by government 3 weeks ago. It's called the Spatial Framework for the Arc. It's a 20-page document. It's
called what? The Spatial Framework for the Arc? Who came up with that?
Well, obviously, I think government want to put out a comprehensive document. And the idea is that transport, planning and development and infrastructure are all planned together. Now, if you're going to do an expressway road, concreting, on a green area between Oxford and Milton Keynes, you'd want to be planning it in a much more holistic way. So not just dumping houses around the junctions, you want to actually plan that together. And your previous caller correctly mentioned England's economic heartland, and they're doing some great work, that team there, in talking about how they look at all the different connectivity across the arc and how you can bring that together under a plan that might work.
It's all very fashionable at the moment, and for understandable reasons. We're talking about the environment, home working. We want fewer cars on the road. I understand all of that, absolutely. But is there a worry, do you think, Rob, as a planner, that a few years down the line from now, we might have forgotten about the pandemic, life would have gone back to normal, and there are just more cars on the road and a lot more congestion, and everybody would be saying, well, if we'd built the expressway, this wouldn't happen?
Well, it's a good question. Obviously, now the government's setting its stall out for East-West Rail, and if you look at the document that's come out, it is talking about densification and building around new and existing improved stations between Oxford and Cambridge. I suspect there'll be a lot of interest and focus on those new areas.
But again, realistically, when do you think, if that was given the go-ahead, I mean, by the time these railway lines are built, I'll be pushing up the daisies, and I'm only 53. I mean, it's years and serious. It takes, you look ahead and they say, we hope to have this in place by 2075. It takes a long time, doesn't it?
Well, it does. And obviously, big projects like this is not usual for our country to do such things, but they're talking about be able to get on a train in Oxford or Cambridge and get to the other end in 2030. I think it might be a bit longer.
That's a long train ride, isn't it? That's a hell of a journey. Yeah, I'll see you in a few years. See you in 9 years. All right. Yeah. Rob, thank you very much. Thanks for coming on this morning. Good to talk to you. Thank you for your points, some serious points there. But the spatial framework for the ARC, I must get a copy of that next time. I can't sleep. Some of these planning documents, goodness.